back to another video, and in today's video we have our AEW Full Gear predictions. This card is another one that looks very interesting on paper. However, the build to this card hasn't been the greatest. I feel like that is kind of what Full Gear kind of has been sometimes, where the card might not look the best or the story might not be the best, but it will over deliver in matches on the night. But how are you feeling going into the show?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'm a little bit let down by the card, not as far as, obviously all these people are going to put on great matches. You could always expect that with AEW pay-per-views. But it's just a lot of rematches, a lot of retold stories. We kind of seen Hangman and Joe already, like in the beginning of this year when they did the whole swerve thing at the end of last year / beginning of this year. And we're still kind of revisiting that a little bit. So I'm not a big fan of that, and we're revisiting Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher for, I believe, the 5th or 6th time this year, which is always great matches once again, but, just with like some new stuff every now and again.
Yeah, we're going to start off with the pre-show, and we're going to kick it off with Boom and Doom, which is the new team of QT Marshall and Big Boom AJ, and they will take on Roppongi Vice, which is Rocky Romero and Trent Barretta. What is your prediction for that match?
Yeah, I'm going to go Boom and Doom. We've seen them obviously have a match against each other in AJ's first match, and now they're going in as a tag team together, so I feel like they'll have at least some kind of chemistry together, real life chemistry, and then in kayfabe maybe they'll have some kind of tension between them because of their previous feud and whatnot, but I do think that they will win.
Yeah, I'm gonna also go with Boom and Doom. I'm not sure if I'm 100% right, but I do think that this Full Gear last year was the match between Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall. But I will agree, I do think they will get the win here. It should be a pretty fun match. It is a pre-show match at the end of the day, so we're not expecting too much. And next up, we have a $200,000 Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match between Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, Bang Bang Gang, Big Bill, and Brian Keith, and the Outrunners. Who do you got for this one?
Yeah, this one I'm really going for the Bang Bang Gang here. We've seen them disappear for a while because of, I believe, injury. So now that they're back and they kind of have a new member that they're sort of adding along with Ace Austin, I feel like he's a perfect fit for them and just fits the group, like I said, just perfectly. So I think a big win for them would be great, as well as maybe Ace Austin getting a singles win at some point soon.
Yeah, this one I feel like can go a few ways. I could see the Bang Bang Gang, taking out and getting the win here. But I will go with Max Caster and Anthony Bowens to get the win. I feel like there's a story to tell that they didn't see the success that kind of everybody thought we would see from both men once we've seen the Acclaimed split. But I think them getting back together will be very healthy for not only them but also the tag team division moving forward. Whether that is Brodito holding the belts for further longer, or with FTR, who will have their match later on in the night. I think there is a good chance that we see Max Caster and Anthony Bowens rekindle the Acclaimed and try to recapture some magic that they once had in AEW.
Yeah.
And then next up, we have the CMLL World Trios Championships on the line, where we see Sky Team, which is the team of Mascara Dorada, Mystico, and Neon, versus the Don Callis family, with the members being Okada, Takeshita, and Hechicero. So an all-star lineup from the Don Callis family. Very weird to see Okada and Takeshita on the pre-show, but I feel this is the type of match that will bleed into that main show.
Yeah, we had a little segment on Dynamite / Collision this week where Don Callis announced the team live unknowingly to Okada, and he announced that Takeshita was going to be his teammate, and his face kind of turned from very happy to not so very happy, and same thing with Hechicero as well. So I do expect something to happen during this match, but it is kind of weird that they would do it on the pre-show and not the main show, so maybe nothing will happen. I'm kind of confused about that, of which direction it's going to go, but I do expect it to be good, and I do expect L Sky Team to get the win.
Yeah. Next up, now going into the main show, we're going to kick things off with one of the big ones, and that is the AEW Women's World Championship match, where Kris Statlander goes one-on-one with Mercedes Mone once again. This is a match we did see at last year's Full Gear. We're revisiting it, but this time, obviously, Kris Statlander now as the world champion, who will not be going after the TBS champion. I thought it was for every belt that Mercedes also had, so I kind of thought it was a win, an all on the line type of match, but I do think, at least according to Wikipedia, it is for the Women's World Champion. But who do you got for this one?
Yeah, this is a match that I am pretty worried about. I really just don't want Mercedes to defeat Kris Statlander here. I think there's a lot of things that we can still do with Kris Statlander. I think the Mercedes run has been amazing. She's having great matches and all that. But I think it'd be too much for her to give her another belt, especially the world title in AEW, along with other 13 or 14 belts that she has. But I'm a little worried about this match because I do think that there is a pretty good chance that Mercedes does win, which would kind of hurt Kris Statlander in my opinion. She's already lost the previous two. This is one of the rematches I was talking about before, but this is one that I don't mind because they are so good and there's an untold story of Kris Statlander not getting that win. So there is a good storyline kind of going in under this one. But yeah, I am a little bit worried, but I am going to pick Kris Statlander even with all that said.
Yeah, this one, I do see the worry of Mercedes Mone, winning this and kind of continuing this belt collector gimmick, which some people either really like or really hate. I'm on the fence of liking it, and I think the World Championship would look good on her, and I think it just solidifies who Mercedes Mone is after everything, that's happened over the past few years. For her to say, I've won everything. I won the big ones. I won the little ones. Only thing that's been consistent is winning for her. But I do think that the result will be Kris Statlander walking out as the world champion still. Like you said, I think there's still so much to do with her, unless there's something behind the scenes that she might be injured or something that she has to take time away from. I don't think she'll lose the belt on the night, just because, like you said, there's so much to do, and I feel like it's about the time where we'll see Mercedes kind of start showing defeat. Obviously, she just won the official Ring of Honor World TV Champion on Dynamite, but yeah, I do think Kris Statlander will walk out as the world champion.
Yeah, hopefully so.
Then next up for the World Tag Team Champions, we see Brodito put their belts on the line versus FTR. Who do you got for this one?
Yeah, this is kind of a tricky one because I do think there's a potential for Adam Copeland and Christian to get involved here against FTR. And I also don't think that Brodito should lose. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like it could kind of go either way depending on what happens during the match and maybe after the match or maybe even before the match. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with this one. I will go with Brodito because they're just a stronger team going into this. But at the same time, they're both really good single stars, so they could just lose the belts and go back to singles and everyone would be happy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if what you just said is what happens. On Dynamite, we did get the announcement that the Continental Classic will be starting, and these are two men who I think are perfect and are built for the Continental Classic. Brody King, who has been in, I think, both of them, or at least last year's for sure. But yeah, I think this match will be really fun. I do think we could see that Adam Copeland and Christian Cage return on this night, and I do think FTR will walk out as the champions. It does feel weird to kind of think of them as transitional champions in a way, because I do think that if we do see Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, we will see them lose the belts win the belts from FTR. However, I think that is just what FTR is in this role for, that they have the good history, they can put on these great matches, and it gives us something big to do, and it gives them a big match with Edge and Christian. So yeah, this match should be really fun. I am really excited. I do think it could be a sneaky match of the night contender.
Yeah, this will be good for sure.
Then next up, let's go to a Casino Gauntlet match on Full Gear, and this time it is for the new AEW National Championship. We don't know too much about what this championship will look like and what it will be. I'm sure we'll get some type of, we'll see what it looks like on the night. But from what we do know so far is we have Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin will be starting the match, but our other participants will be Ricochet, Kevin Knight, and Speedball. Who do you got winning this one?
Yeah, this is obviously it's a hard one to pick, being that we don't know all of the competitors in this one. But based off what we do know, I am gonna go with Bobby Lashley. I feel like he's the perfect person to just hold gold in general. He just looks really good with any title that he does hold, and especially being a prominent guy in pro wrestling who's been around a very long time, who does still put on good matches, who's been part of a tag team division that hasn't really benefited Bobby Lashley. Really, he's been able to uplift it a little bit, but it didn't do anything for him necessarily. And I do think that this singles run from Bobby Lashley could be like a really big thing for him to travel around the country and other countries defending that belt, as Tony Khan said. So I think Bobby Lashley will be my pick.
Yeah, like you said, this is a really tough one to pick. I do like Bobby as that pick, but I do wish that his first singles champion would either be the international champion or the world champion. I think either of those would just be amazing for Bobby. But a man that I think will have a feud and who Bobby will eventually win that belt from is the man who I think will return in this match, and that is MJF. It has been rumored that he is on the verge of coming back anytime now, and this feels like the spot to do that. And I feel like it'll be a great first feud for that belt, that MJF can go against Bobby Lashley for a few weeks, and you kind of drag that out for how long you kind of need to. But yeah, I do think MJF would be a good first champion. He's somebody who is an AEW guy through and through. We've known that now, and I think him versus Bobby could be a big marquee match for AEW, and not just two big names, not only just for drawing power, but I think even in match quality, you can really deliver whenever they do have that seamless match between each other.
No, for sure.
But yeah, this Casino Gauntlet could be really fun. I'm sure we'll see some surprise returns / debuts or appearances from people, but yeah, could be a really fun one.
Yeah.
Then next up, let's go to that TNT match you talked about earlier. This time is a no DQ match, and there is some extra stipulations where if Mark Briscoe were to lose this match, he'll be forced to leave the conglomeration and join the Don Callis family. But yeah, it is Kyle Fletcher, Mark Briscoe, no DQ. Who do you got?
Yeah, this is one of those ones where I feel like it's too soon for Fletcher to lose, but I also feel like it's too much if Mark Briscoe were to lose as well, because you don't want to see him with the Don Callis family, but there's also a really good that'll make really good TV for him to be part of the Don Callis family, to see him kind of get bullied around by Don Callis, and eventually he breaks out of it and has enough of it and beats everyone down, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I will go with Kyle Fletcher winning, surprisingly. Just because I just don't think it's time yet. Mark Briscoe, I feel like, I don't know, he's one of those people that doesn't need a title in my eyes. However, Kyle Fletcher, I feel like he had just started his big rise since he won this title.
Yeah, I think there is a chance we see Kyle Fletcher win this match. However, I will go with Mark Briscoe. Like you said, I think Kyle Fletcher is kind of kicking things off with this TNT champion again, but I do think with the kind of classic rolling around, I feel like he's somebody who we'll see in that tournament, and he's somebody who I can definitely see winning the tournament, which means I think we can see a match between either him and Okada further down the line once we see the split between Takeshita and the Don Callis family, which would lead to Kyle Fletcher leaving. But yeah, I think there's a lot you can do through this match, and I think even if you have Mark Briscoe lose, has to join the Don Callis family, I think it's a good story, like you mentioned, where he has to kind of be the jockey for this group and has to carry their bags around and just gets treated very badly throughout this entire time, but ultimately he'll come out on top. But yeah, I think this could be a really fun match. Their last match did disappoint me a little bit in terms of how the other matches have gone, but I do think this one being seemingly the big one and kind of the last one, I do think this will be a very good one.
Yeah, Mark Briscoe in a disqualification match is always going to be a banger. So I do have confidence that this will at least be pretty good.
Yeah, and then next up, let's go to the Darby Allin versus Pac match. They had a pretty good vignette from Pac on this Dynamite. But yeah, this match has been thrown together since we've seen Blood and Guts. After we've seen Pac throw Darby Allin through a flaming table. And now we have this match. Who do you got winning?
Yeah, this one, I mean, I'm just going to hope that Darby Allin does win. I feel like his kind of year since coming back has been a little bit underwhelming. So I feel like if he could kind of, not that he's been losing, but the wins just haven't really felt big necessarily. But this one could be, a trend to kind of lead him in the direction of a championship, whether it be any of them. I don't know which one, maybe Kyle Fletcher's TNT title after this. But yeah, I do think that this could be something that kind of leads Darby away from the Death Riders and kind of puts a nail in that coffin, so to say here.
Yeah, I do think that something will happen during this match. Obviously, Jon Moxley will be busy on the night, so I don't think we'll see too much Darby and Moxley interactions. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like you said, we do see this being kind of like the end of the chapter between Darby and the Death Riders. It seems like Kyle O'Reilly is somebody who might be entering the story now and kind of taking over for the Darby Allin spot. But yeah, I do think Darby Allin gets the win here. Like you said, I think he kind of deserves like easy, not gonna say easy win, but kind of an easy win versus Pac here on the show, and hopefully that leads him to big things. He'll probably be somebody who we'll see in that kind of classic as well. But yeah, I think this match could be another really sneaky, really good one.
Yeah.
Then next up, let's go back to some women's action where we see a fatal 4-way tag team match. Now, the winner of this match will be getting the chance to choose their stipulation for the semifinals. And now this is all the teams who are in the semifinals of the women's inaugural tag team champions, and that is going to be Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale, Julia Hart and Sky Blue, Mina Shirakawa and Thomas Toni Storm, and Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne. Who do you got for this one?
Yeah, so for this one, I'm torn between two different teams. They have the Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart and Sky Blue. but also Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. So basically, the two heel teams, I think one of them are going to win. I'm kind of torn between which one. I'm leaning more towards Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir at the moment, though.
Yeah, this one is kind of weird because I do think that we could see Marina and Megan win this and kind of just show their dominance in going into the actual semifinals and probably into the finals where they should ultimately win the belts. I do think they will lose this match to kind of show some doubt into them, but I think overall it's just with there being three other teams to kind of attack them, I think it'll be a little bit too much for them on the night. And I do think we'll see the new team of the Timeless Love Bomb between Mina and Tony. I think they can pick up the win here. It's a nice little match, I think, of getting a lot of women involved. It's only two women's matches on the card, which does suck, but at least we have a good amount of people in the matches, so at least that is nice. But yeah, I think this match, again, that's another one that can be sneaky good. It is kind of just a theme with these types of cards. Like I said, they don't have a lot of build to them, but the matches will probably over-deliver on the night. But yeah, I think this is another one that could be really fun.
Yeah.
And then next up, as I mentioned earlier, we have Jon Moxley on the card taking on Kyle O'Reilly, but this time it is in a no-holds-barred match. Who you got?
Yeah, this one I'm just going to go Kyle O'Reilly. I think the big thing, whatever the big thing is going to happen here as far as, Jon Moxley goes, whether that's Daniel Bryan doing something during this match, or maybe that's the Death Riders turning on Moxley, or a big debut of someone who kind of beat some sense into him in a way. But yeah, I don't know what it can be or what it will be or how they will do it. But that's what makes it interesting, and that's kind of the big selling point of this pay-per-view to me, and the thing that makes me want to watch it despite, the complaints I had earlier, is this big storyline development that's going to happen at some point during the show, during this match. But yeah, I'm very excited for it, and I do think Kyle O'Reilly gets a huge win here.
Yeah, I think if Kyle O'Reilly were to get this win here, it definitely sets him up for something big going into 2026. I don't think he'll be a world champion by any means, but I do think a TNT champion would look really good on Kyle O'Reilly. He's somebody who deserves some type of singles gold in his AEW tenure. But yeah, I do think this match will be really, really fun and really, really bloody. I will go with Moxley to get the win here, though. I feel like, again, with no holds barred, that means there will be some type of interference. Obviously, I'm sure we'll see Roddy Strong get involved and the other members of the conglomeration, but ultimately Death Rider is too strong and too good for Moxley. But I guess we could also see Gabe Kidd interfere himself and maybe even take over the Death Riders after we've seen Moxley tap out at Blood and Guts. So lots that can possibly happen in this match would make that really fun, and yeah, should be a really interesting one.
Yeah.
And then next up, we have the first ever $1 million trios match, and that is between Kenny Omega and Jurassic Express taking on the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander. So a big opportunity for Josh Alexander here, getting into a big money match with some big names. But who do you think will walk out with that $1 million?
Yeah, I think something is gonna happen here. We've seen a little tease with Kenny Omega and the Bucks a few weeks ago. I forget which match it was, but they kind of teased them to come help out. They didn't end up doing it. So I do think at some point they will get together during this match. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I think the Young Bucks will turn babyface, kind of turn their backs on Josh Alexander, I guess. And I guess the Don Callis family will be included in that. But yeah, I'm going to go Kenny Omega and Jurassic Express.
Yeah, we've seen Jurassic Express beat the Young Bucks in the last however many $1,000 match we've seen from them. But I do think we will see them win again here. I think there's a good story to tell between Young Bucks and Kenny Omega rejoining once again. It does feel weird that I feel like it will happen. I do agree with you, it will happen at some point. I do think it might happen after the match once they're already beat. They have nowhere else to go besides to Kenny now. So I think we'll see some type of reconnection there. I am happy for Josh Alexander to get a big opportunity here. He's somebody who, since joining AEW, he joined the Don Callis family pretty much immediately and hasn't done too much. So hopefully this is a match where he gets to shine and hopefully gets to prove himself going into the Continental Classic, which I think the Continental Classic would be a perfect format for him to go out and have a very good showing and lead to a big 2026 for him.
Yeah, I believe when Josh Alexander signed to AEW, one of the things that he signed to AEW for specifically was to have a Kenny Omega match. And if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be a second one this year. So yeah, pretty big for Josh Alexander to kind of check that off his list and do it twice, and potentially will be a third time down the line, maybe for a world title or something at some point, because he is that good. But yeah, shout out to Josh Alexander for kind of stepping up since he took the AEW role of the Don Callis family.
Yeah. And then now for the main event of the night, we have a steel cage match before the world champion, and that's going to be Hangman Adam Page versus Samoa Joe again. This match, obviously going to steel cage, I think it has definitely elevated the hype for this match. But who do you got walking out as the world champion?
Yeah, this is once again one of those matches that I mentioned I'm not super excited for, but the added stipulation of a steel cage, as well as it obviously being Samoa Joe and Hangman Adam Page, I think it just makes it at least feel big. And I think it will deliver on the night too. Samoa Joe is someone who could turn the intensity up any moment he wants and really be like a brutal in-ring guy and just kind of beat the hell out of you. And Hangman Adam Page is definitely one of those people who is willing to take that beating and kind of get his body tossed around. And I think we'll see the cage used as a weapon a lot through this match. Whether we see them go off the top, I don't really think so, because Samoa Joe's not necessarily known for that kind of stuff. But I do think something crazy will happen here, and Hangman Adam Page will be the one to come out on top.
Yeah, this one, like you said, I think the steel cage will, add a good variety to this match, as we've seen from the previous match. And yeah, I do think Hangman will get the win here. I mentioned earlier that I think MJF will return during the Casino Gauntlet match. However, if what I do think is true, that he still has that contract to cash in at any point, I do think there's a chance that he could cash in and after this match. Obviously, after a steel cage match, Hangman will be tired if he does get the win. Or if it's Samoa Joe even, I think whoever is walking out as champion, if MJF still has that contract, I do think it will come into play here. And yeah, whether that means we'll see MJF actually win off of it, it kind of feels like we'll see it. But yeah, I do think this match will be really good. I think Hangman deserves to get the win here, to continue this reign, get past the Samoa Joe kind of arc right now, and kind of get on some bigger matches that we want to see from him before we do see the eventual loss from Hangman. So yeah, I think this match could be really, really good, and hopefully this is one that will tell the test of time from Hangman, being kind of Mr. Full Gear over the past few years.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is going to be a pretty good pay-per-view overall. There's 12 matches and one of those classic AEW specials here. But with the tailgate special and stuff like that, I think it'll be a very fun pay-per-view on the day.
Yeah, but let us know what you guys think about the show down in the comments below and your predictions as well. If you haven't already, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. But without that, we will see you guys in the next one.